Alright, hey there guys, Adrian DeCosta here, aka JediBro95, coming at you guys with another video. In this video is going to be the first of a two-part series. The first one I'm going to do, which is going to be this video, is some takes and arguments that need to die in 2021 and beyond, because some of these are just absolutely crazy, and some of these arguments are just so profoundly dumb that I'm still amazed in 2021 that going into 2021 that these are used as credible arguments, despite the fact that a lot of people have just debunked these arguments and just made it seem like they just are no longer credible. And then the second argument, the second thing I want to talk about is NBA rule changes or NBA or things that the NBA could do to help make the product better, because you know, as the NBA is popular as hell right now, but I've seen recent polls saying that the NBA is, I believe, like, it's not as popular as the NFL or even like the MLB, which is kind of depressing because the MLB is, honestly, baseball is one of the most boring sports in the world to watch, but that's neither here nor there. So, with that being said, I'm going to be suggesting some product ideas for going forward, but with that being said, let's start off with some arguments that, quite frankly, need to die in 2021. The first argument I think needs to die in 2021 is the help argument. You know, basically punishing players for having specific help around them, or, you know, saying that player A can't be better than player B because of the help they have. Personally, I think that is one of the dumbest arguments in the NBA community being used consistently, and I'm not going to say it is the dumbest because there are dumber arguments out there. But take, for example, you know, guys like Tim Duncan. A lot of people ridicule Tim Duncan, basically saying that he can never be better, that he's not better than Magic or Kareem or, you know, Kobe Bryant or Larry Bird because of the help he had in his career. And first of all, there's a couple of things to that. One, you don't get the success you have with Tim Duncan or Magic Johnson even just for having, like, little help. That's not how the NBA works. And that's not how basketball works. In order to consistently contend and win games and championships, you need other great players around you. You might pull off a Dirk Nowitzki, Hakeem Olajuwon, or whatever type of a championship run once in a while, but for the most part, a lot of great teams have all-stars and Hall of Fame caliber players on that roster. So there's no way that players could win championships consistently without all-time greats or even just all-star caliber players. And then secondly, I think a lot of people overstate the help that Duncan had. I've talked about this in my Tim Duncan discussion video on why the disrespect on him needs to stop. But the help that the types of players that Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, even David Robinson were not as great as everybody makes them out to be. David Robinson, by the time he was winning titles with Tim Duncan, he was on the decline, and even in his last year in the NBA in 2003, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili were great players overall, and in Manu Ginobili's case, he's one of the greatest six men to ever step foot on the basketball court. But again, he was one of the greatest six men. He wasn't this MVP superstar caliber player like Kevin Durant with Stephen Curry, or with, you know, Dwayne Wade with LeBron, or even Scottie Pippen with Michael Jordan. A lot of people forget that in 1996, Scottie Pippen finished, I think, third or fifth, somewhere around there, in the MVP race. Now, granted, it was like he got like fifth or something like that. It's whatever. But if Pippen finished third in the MVP race, which honestly, I can't remember at this point in time, then that's no joke. So a lot of people just genuinely overstate the help Tim Duncan had and just try to make it seem like Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker were these great-ass players. But I truly believe that without Tim Duncan and the Popovich system, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili would be nothing more than average starters in the NBA. And the same goes for Stephen Curry. A lot of people have been getting on the Steph hate train the last little while because of how the Warriors have struggled. But they fail to realize that, you know, the help that Steph Curry has right now, you know, it's not that great. I'm just gonna be completely dead ass here. Like, outside of Draymond Green, who's a seasoned veteran, but even then he's producing below NBA starting levels. But his defense still kind of makes up for that, so we can give him a pass. James Wiseman is a rookie. Andrew Wiggins is absolute trash and probably the biggest bust of the modern era, or at least one of them, because Kwame Brown is still up there. Kelly Oubre has not been very good since he came to Golden State. I can't remember who's all on the roster right now, and that's the problem. A lot of these players on the roster are young, inexperienced players, or just not good players at all. So I don't understand why everyone is so quick to get on the Steph hate train because of the fact that he's not in the top 2 in the Western Conference, and saying that he was just never that great. And that actually leads me to my next take that needs to die in 2021 is, can we stop punishing players for being in bad situations? Okay, like, don't get me wrong. If a player is in a decent situation to a good situation to where they can consistently find a way to win, like they got the help around them and they're still not being able to win games, or they're still not being able to, make postseason appearances, then we can argue how overrated the player is and how non-impactful the guy in question is. But for guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, who literally made the playoffs 1 year, and that was when he actually did have a good supporting cast around him, because in 2018 they actually grabbed Jimmy Butler. They had Derrick Rose before he left, and then in 2019 Jimmy Butler was complete toxic. They got Robert Covington, who was a solid piece, but it's the roster overall was still not very good with Karl-Anthony Towns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Same with guys like Trae Young. A lot of people want to just say Trae Young is overrated and he puts up empty stats, and I'm not going to get into that conversation, but I'm also not going to punish Trae Young for not getting 50 wins with a bad roster. Don't get me wrong, it is impressive when people do it, but only a handful of players throughout NBA history can possibly do that, and those people turn out to be some of the greatest we have ever seen. So to act as if like everybody should be able to get 50 wins with a subpar roster is just completely asinine, especially this year with the Golden State Warriors, and thinking that, if Steph Curry is so good, he should be able to get 50 wins out of this roster because guys like James Harden and Russell Westbrook were able to get 47 and 57 wins in 2017 with bad rosters. Again, just you fail to ignore the context around those rosters, because I made an argument. I saw this on Twitter from Legend of Winning, and he basically said that the 2017 Thunder roster is better than what Steph Curry has right now. And a lot of people disagree with that, but I look at it like, I kind of agree with that, because Steph Curry, I find like Steven Adams and Victor Oladipo alone in Oklahoma City are better than what Steph Curry has right now. I would argue that they are better than what he has in his roster right at this moment. The next argument that I want to see fade out in 2021 that absolutely that absolutely irritates me is this idea that the player that can carry a bad roster is a better player than a player that is winning with a good roster. Okay, like for example, how many times have you heard people say, Steph Curry? I know a lot. I know I'm harping a lot on Steph Curry, but that is like the most recent player that everybody's harping on right now, because he finally does not have a super team roster around him. But a lot of people want to say that, Steph Curry was never really that good, and Harden and Russ were better all along because they could carry subpar rosters farther than he can. Again, it's just completely disingenuous to how good a player can be with help around them. Take, for example, Russell Westbrook in 2017, okay? A lot of people said in 2017 that he was better than Steph because he had to carry a bad roster, and the only reason Steph was contending was because he had a super team, and if you put Russ on that team and put him and Steph in Oklahoma City, obviously Steph would look worse than what he is. And, well, yeah, that is completely obvious. I actually like to make the argument that players that can win with great rosters are better than players that can carry bad rosters. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to win championships, right? And if you're still putting up similar production on a good roster while leading them to championship caliber seasons and being able to make deep postseason runs, I think you're better than the person that is carrying a 48-win team just to get knocked out in the first round. I think that is completely... I think that just makes that person better in question. Also, another take that needs to die, just as a small side note, because I didn't actually really plan on this one being in the video. Can we please get rid of this holding, like, making it seem like getting, like, winning 48 games with a bad roster and getting outed in the first or second round as a high accomplishment? Can we get rid of that, please? Because that argument is also pretty stupid, because, like, why would anybody care about the fact that a person had a bad roster and was knocked out in the first round? Nobody gives a shit about that. Hakeem Olajuwon was making the postseason every year after their finals appearance, and each year it was either a first or a second round out until 1992, when I don't even think they made the playoffs in 1992, if I remember correctly. But nobody ever talks about Hakeem Olajuwon getting knocked out in the first round for 3 to 4 consecutive years and then missing the postseason. Nobody ever talks about that because nobody gives a shit about that crap. You think anybody really, besides Bron stans, do you think anybody cares that Jordan got knocked out in the first round for the first 3 seasons of his career? No, nobody gives a crap, because at that time, the talent wasn't there for Michael Jordan. He had to deal with guys like Orlando Woolridge and an old-ass George Gervin, and the former half would actually be under the NBA's cocaine problem. So, like, why are we having a subpar roster and getting knocked out in the first round so high in the NBA community? I don't understand that, in my honest opinion. I don't get why people hold that in the NBA community as a plateau that people need to reach to be considered a great player. When at the end of the day, you know, these are probably the same people that look at first round exits when they're ranking players and be like, this person got knocked out 4 consecutive years in the first round. Like, that's not impressive whatsoever. Well, no shit, that's not impressive, because nobody fucking cares. Anyhow, the next take that I would argue needs to die in 2021 is putting asterisks on championships. I think this needs to die in 2021. Because I'm not going to lie, I was one of those people that used to believe in asterisks for titles. I was one of those people that used to put, you know, asterisks behind saying it like, oh, they didn't earn it because blank, 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 blank. Now, don't get me wrong, you can make legit arguments. Like, I've always been of the belief that if Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy in 2015, and if Andrew Bogut, minimum, stayed healthy in 2016, those two teams would have won their respective titles, but they didn't. But I'm not going to hold that against Steph Curry or even, you know, LeBron and Kyrie for their legacies by saying that, oh, they only won because of blank. You know, they only won because Bogut was injured, or in Steph's case, they only won because, you know, Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured. Because at the end of the day, yes, you suffer injuries and you got to play through it. And that's the point. You got to play through. You still have to play these games. It's not a foregone conclusion once a key player goes out in a series. It's not a foregone conclusion that the series is over. You still got to go out and play and try and compete and win that series. Take, for example, again, LeBron James. He was down. He lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in 2015, and he still went out and competed, and he got 2 games off the Warriors. Same in 2016. Yes, Andrew Bogut went out. Steph Curry was potentially dealing with knee problems. It's been unclear of what type of problems Steph Curry was dealing with in the 2016 finals, so I just tend to ignore it. But I feel like, you know, even though, yes, those things happened, you still got to go out and compete and try and win that series. And LeBron balled his ass off in the final games of 2017. Regardless of what you say about Kyrie and, you know, Andrew Bogut being injured and all that shit, at the end of the day, LeBron put up some of the most historic numbers I've ever seen in a 3-game stretch. And one can make the legit argument that those 3 games made him the greatest player to ever step foot on the court. But again, that's neither here nor there. But this idea that you need to put asterisks on a championship because of a factor that's completely out of a player's control is bullshit. Take, for example, again, 2018 with Steph Curry. You know, I'm harping a lot on Steph Curry because it's the most recent thing to be hating on right now, and why I think it's just completely stupid that everybody does it. So, take, for example, Steph in 2018, okay? Or even Kevin Durant. A lot of people put asterisks on his championships and say, oh, he only won those because he was on a super team, you know, they don't matter, blah, blah, blah. Now, I agree, the value of those championships should be taken into question, absolutely. But at the end of the day, to act as if he doesn't have a ring is just stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. And moving on to my next take that I think needs to die in 2021 is punishing players for putting themselves in championship caliber situations. This is not the same as punishing players for having help. This is a little different. This is like, you know, take for example, a player leaves your team in free agency, or a player leaves a team in free agency and goes and teams up and joins a contending team. You know, you can be mad at that player for doing so, and don't get me wrong, I definitely would. You know, I was one of those people that hated Kevin Durant for going to Golden State. But as time went on, I understood why he did it. I understood the premise, and I understood the context of what he was trying to do. He's trying to win as many championships as he could have, and they definitely would have three-peated if Kevin Durant's Achilles didn't go sideways. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at Kevin Durant for choosing to go to the Warriors. My thought process is that, you know, why Golden State? But again, you know, it was fairly obvious, so I'm not going to get too upset at him for choosing to go to Golden State and trying to win championships, because that is the point of an NBA player, an NBA great, is to win titles. Not put up numbers, not get subpar records leading to first-round exits like a lot of people want to believe are valuable. But overall, like, I understand why players make the decisions to join title contenders they do. So I'm not punishing players for doing that, and I think that should die in 2021 from now on. I think that should be dead. But anyways, guys, that is going to be all my takes that I think need to die in 2021. If I do have any more takes that I missed on this video, I will pin them in the comment section below. And also, guys, let me know your takes that you want to see die in 2021 and beyond, because I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of takes that I see that you guys have seen that you think need to die in 2021. And if you comment that in my comment section, I'll actually let you know if I agree with that take needing to die or not. So let me know, guys, what your opinions are, and let me know if you guys did enjoy the video or not as well. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new for Madden and 2K content, as well as NBA discussion videos and shit like that. I'm trying to branch out to different games like Madden, for example, as you saw with my last video being a Seattle Seahawks theme team. I'm going to do a lineup update for that, I think probably next week or the week after that, just because there are some cards that came out recently for the team, and I wanted to try and get those cards for the lineup, so that way, you know, I can showcase them, because right now nothing has really changed. Also, probably going to be looking to live stream online Madden, just because, you know, I have been playing a little bit of online Madden, and it's fun, but it's also really stressful and irritating for me, just because, you know, I hate playing online some days because people just really piss me off. But with that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.